Deep in the ancient forests of Izumo, a massive apex predator stalked the land. This was the Yamata no Orochi, a mythical serpent with 8 heads and 8 tails, whose body was said to span across 8 separate valleys. For an elderly local couple, the Orochi was a recurring nightmare. For 7 consecutive years, the beast had slithered down from the mountains to devour one of their daughters. Now, time has run out. The couple wept by the riverbank because their final surviving child, Kushinada Hime, was scheduled to be the monster's next meal. Attempting to fight the Orochi in close quarters was a guaranteed death sentence. A human warrior facing 8 independent snapping heads faced an impossible tactical problem that brute force simply couldn't solve. Susanoo arrived at the riverbank as a disheveled, heavily armed wanderer. He carried the presence of a fighter, though he bore no insignias of a local lord or a professional protector. This was actually a god of storms and impulsive violence, currently in the middle of a forced exile. His sister, the sun goddess Amaterasu, had permanently banished him from heaven after his reckless temper led to the destruction of the celestial rice fields. Now, this disgraced celestial outcast was offering to defeat the unkillable dragon of Izuma, but he wasn't doing it for charity. He demanded the right to marry Kushinada Hime in exchange for his protection. Susanoo realized a frontal assault would result in being flanked from 8 directions simultaneously. To win, he had to neutralize the monster's range of motion. He ordered the construction of a massive circular wooden barrier to act as a primary defensive perimeter. He then modified the wall by cutting exactly 8 narrow gates into the wood. These were geometric funnels designed to isolate the heads and force them to approach one at a time. Inside each gate, he built a platform and placed a vat filled with a specially brewed high-proof sake, a chemical bait designed to target the beast's primitive instincts. Susanoo shifted the battlefield from a chaotic brawl into a highly controlled trap, weaponizing the monster's own appetite to strip away its mobility. When the Orochi arrived at the barrier, the overpowering scent of the alcohol immediately pulled its heads toward the gates. Each of the 8 massive serpent heads slithered through a narrow opening and drank greedily from the giant wooden bats. The physiological reaction was immediate. The immense creature was quickly incapacitated by the high-proof sake, losing its motor functions before falling into a deep, paralyzed stupor. Leaping from his hiding spot, Susanoo executed a methodical ambush, moving swiftly along the perimeter of the barrier. He hacked the unconscious monster to pieces while it was completely unable to fight back. The victory was a masterpiece of logistical engineering and chemical warfare. Susanoo had turned a god-tier threat into a stationary target. While Susanoo was hacking through the serpent's severed tails, his blade unexpectedly chipped against something hidden deep within the scales. He sliced open the flesh and extracted a pristine, magical blade known as the Kusanagi sword. This mythical sword eventually became one of Japan's 3 sacred treasures. These are the physical artifacts that have cemented the authority of the imperial family for over 1,000 years. The ultimate symbol of the Japanese monarchy was essentially discovered as the byproduct of a calculated ambush against a drunken monster. Despite his history of selfish violence, Susanoo chose to gift this powerful weapon to his sister, Amaterasu, as a formal apology for his past crimes. He took his earthly reward instead, marrying Kushinada Hime and settling down to become the founding ruler of the Izumo region. His founding of the region is still commemorated at the Izumo Taisha Shrine. The massive, thick straw ropes hanging here today serve as a physical reminder of the heavy engineering that defined his victory. This myth tracks a fundamental shift in Susanoo's character. By replacing his violent storm god impulses with structural planning and discipline, he was able to neutralize a natural disaster that brute force could not touch. Susanoo's transformation from a heavenly menace into a strategic earthly savior created the blueprint for Izumo and established him as one of the most effective tactical minds in the history of the nation.